Welcome to the PA is in, the podcast dedicated to redefining success for physician associates. I'm your host, Tracy Bingaman, a clinician, career, and negotiation coach here to help you navigate your career with confidence and connection. Whether you're full time entrenched in clinical practice and child rearing and raising, or you're gearing up to enter your career as a clinician, or even nearing the end of your time in clinical patient facing healthcare and medicine, we all have busy, full, and fast moving lives. The schedules are full and the batteries are drained for many a practitioner who is out there in the trenches seeing patients day in and day out. When you do finally have a few moments of peace and rest, often you just want to relax, read that book from your bedside table, pop some popcorn, and press play on your next up episode on the latest Netflix series. The last thing you want to do after working all day is put on real pants. Yes, not PJs, scrubs, or leggings, and have gasp social interactions. Superficial relationships with surface level acquaintances are just not my cup of tea. I'd rather have a few deeper relationships than many superficial ones. The older, wiser, and arguably more mature and more intentional, and honestly, the more strategic I have become with my friendships over time. Whether it's carving out space and time to connect with the people that I love in person, keeping our dialogue going via text or voice messaging, or planning trips to reunite if we no longer live in the same area, these deep relationships that are so important to me take time and energy. My core friends aren't just a handful of women to sit around and have a charcuterie board, scratch the surface, and talk about this month's book club book. These people are the people who know me well, deeply, honestly, and truly. My circle these days is pretty tight, a small group of high quality friends. In this episode, we're talking all about friendships, how they can be hard to make as adults, why they feel really hard to sustain with beyond busy lives, how we can nurture those good ones, how to be vulnerable and invite more genuine friends into your world, even when you feel like you're at max capacity. If you've been feeling like there's a friendship shaped hole in your world, like you need a new friend, a good friend, a true friend, this episode is for you. It's all about the down and dirty details of making friends and maintaining relationships as an adult outside of clinic and outside of your role as a parent. Let's get started. All right, the first tip I have for you if you are looking to make new friends is to start a new hobby or join a class. Now, many of us have packed schedules, but dedicating just 1 hour a week to a new activity that exists in community can open up opportunities for connection. Consider joining a professional group, a book club, or even a yoga class. Years ago, I'm talking 7+ years ago when I was pregnant with Archer, a mom that I met at Monday Morning Moms, which was a Monday morning breastfeeding class years before, invited me to join her book club. And in fact, this book club was just forming, it did not yet exist. At the time, I was leaning in at work. I was doing general surgery. I was picking up extra shifts. We were working on paying off our mortgage. I was taking all this extra call, and I was wrangling 3 sons with one on the way. I felt entirely overwhelmed by the existing activities. We were not yet in the kids' sports season, but our older kids did band and orchestra, and they had a fair amount of things that we had to be running around with them to do. So I was thinking, time to read books? Not sure about that. Desire for friends and connections? Oh, definitely. Heck yes. So I said yes. And that yes has led to 5 of the closest friendships with the most wonderful women in the world. The funniest part is that none of them work in healthcare. We are from all different backgrounds, jobs, some that stay home, some that work part time, some that work in industry and corporate and education and beyond. We are a diverse group of moms who consistently, over the last 7 years, have gotten together every 4 to 6 ish weeks, read a book, and talked about that book. And yes, we drink wine, and yes, we have snacks, and yes, we get to discuss this book, but we also get to live life alongside each other. Activities like a book club or a hobby can open doors and create opportunities to introduce you to new people with shared interests. I know that you feel like you're at max capacity, but an activity that is 1 hour a week that takes up less than 0.5% of your 168-hour week. That can be life giving and a fertile ground for friendships to grow. Just take one of those hours and try out something new. It might lead to connections with people who are facing similar challenges or have aligning aspirations. Push yourself out of your comfort zone and introduce yourself to at least one person each time you go. I find that taking that step to say hi to others is often the hardest part about starting those relationships. So, speaking of starting relationships, another great way to start up a friendship or mentorship is to start a conversation with someone you admire. Networking can feel formal, but it doesn't have to be. Cultivating friendships and relationships as an adult is hard because we are not ready made in these situations where friendships are sort of presented to us on a platter. In high school and sporting events and orchestra and college and PA school, you're in this group of people which are sort of like ready made for ready to form paint by number friendships. There they are, there you are. You're being simultaneously tortured by this PA program together. Why not make a friendship, right? Why not become incredibly close? But now, as an adult, we're surrounded by other people at different ages and stages of their lives. Sometimes it takes a moment of bravery and a spark to go old school and work to start a conversation with someone where you're looking them in the eye and shaking their hand and saying, "Nice to meet you. I'm so and so." If you admire a colleague's presentation or the way that they interact with patients or the way that they're handling something different, tell them. If you see someone that you think might be a great mentor or someone that you can aspire to be like, tell them what you love or admire about them. Not every single discussion that you start will lead to a deep connection and friends over the years, but it can open up a conversation and it can help you to feel more connected with that person. And I don't want you to limit this one or any other friendship tactics to the people that you know in person. So many friendships start on opposite ends of the internet or on two different sides of a screen. Social media platforms and mentoring or connection groups are a great way to make new friends near and far. Despite all of social media's flaws, access to an opportunity to connect with others is a great positive that you can use on platforms like LinkedIn if you want to keep it professional or other social media strategies. If your social circle is more online than in person, it's okay. Many of my valuable connections started on social media. Commenting on posts or sending direct messages and engaging in an online professional group can foster genuine relationships. Social media isn't just about consuming content, it's also about connecting with people, the people that exist behind those profiles. I know that my friendships have leveled up when we go from messenger or direct message conversation to exchanging phone numbers and chatting on other channels. In fact, as I'm saying this, I'm thinking, oh, I have this friend who I'd met at a conference and we were mostly conversing on social media and we're talking back and forth. And the back and forth was pretty consistent. And I thought, I should give this person my phone number. Like, why haven't I already? Right. It was just sort of, we were in this inertia of that was our mode of conversation. And so I sent this person my number. I said, hey, here's my cell phone number. And they texted me. And I'm actually thinking, I think I have a pending message from her in my inbox that as soon as I'm done recording this, I'm going to voice message or text her back because that texting is a little bit more of a direct line. And also that I wanted this to be like, hey, we're not like occasional communication on the internet friends. We're real life texting friends. I don't know why to me that feels like a level up of like not everyone has access to my phone number. Not everyone has access to that like private inbox that is my in basket or my text messaging inbox. The next thing is to get a group together. Whether out of sheer laziness or wanting to get the most bang for your investment of time, you can actually batch work your friendships, which sounds strange, but stay with me here. Consider getting a group of colleagues or friends in one place to create a dynamic environment for connection and also provide an opportunities to make for other people in that group to make connections too. If you are struggling with adult friendships and I am struggling with adult friendships, other people in your area, other people, other colleagues in your workplace, other friends on the sideline of soccer are also struggling to make these deep and meaningful connections of friends. Think about organizing a meetup with the specific type of people that you want to connect with in your area, or plan a small social gathering after a conference. Being in a group setting like that can reduce the pressure of those one-on-one interactions, like, oh, I'm going out to coffee with this person, we're going to be together alone for several hours. Make it easier to form new connections. I consider myself to be what I would say an introverted extrovert. Sometimes these situations charge my social batteries and sometimes they drain me. I think that probably mostly depends on what kind of specific interactions I have with people at that at that social gathering. But I do, however, found that social situations with multiple people feel to be less social pressure than a singular one-on-one interaction. So here are a few ideas, from starting a group gathering to adding a hobby to your calendar, taking that first step to initiate a conversation with others. Let's look a little closer at how we can grow new friendships and maintain or sustain existing ones, especially during particularly busy seasons. Even when life gets hectic, it's important to maintain and nurture your friendships. Connect with one friend every day, even if it's just a quick message or a voice note. For instance, I make it a point to voice text several of my closest friends on, I would say, a daily or every few days basis. If you haven't discovered voice texting, it is the bee's knees of keeping friendships going. You get to send them a message, um, but it's like a voicemail, but it goes in a text message. So my voice messages with my dearest friends often include lots of chuckles on both ends. I mean, I'm definitely laughing as I'm sending them, and I'm laughing as I'm receiving theirs. So I'm hoping that they're laughing at the messages that I am sending to them. I adore that I can send these little voice texts that go and let my friends know that I'm thinking of them. And I don't want them to feel any pressure of like, hey, I was thinking of you. I was wondering how this was going. And I just wanted to let you know that they don't feel like they have to respond immediately. And it doesn't take very much time. I often do them while I'm driving the car, but it keeps the bond strong. And it gives us this like asynchronous phone call type of vibe where we go back and forth. Now, phone calls are a really great way. I feel like phone calls are a dying art. If you used to call your friends on like a landline with a cord in your bedroom, you probably used to talk to your good friends for hours and hours at a time, and your parents would be yelling at you to get off the phone. So, text messaging, voice messaging, and calling people on a regular basis is such a great way to keep those conversations going and keep that bond strong. Those things hardly take any time at all, a little bit more for the phone calls, but you will feel more connected and feel like you have stronger bonds with the people in your life. The next recommendation I have for you is to go deep, not wide. Skip the small talk and get into an informal agreement with your friends that you are there for the deep stuff, for the meaningful things. Avoid the temptation to start your conversations with the question, how are you? Good. How are you? Oh, good. Busy. And lean into things like sharing wins and losses, embarrassing stories, the unfiltered, unedited truth. Because when you show up as that version of yourself and you tell people about it, they're going to share with you. This is our policy when getting together with the girls. Between my group of friends, we've walked through nearly every situation imaginable together. Having kids, problems with kids, difficult seasons with spouses, miscarriages, pregnancies, familial illnesses, financial stressors, losing a parent, marriages, dating, businesses, and so much more. When we get together, no topic is out of bounds, and that's just the way that we like it. I would rather have a few friends that I feel comfortable sharing very deep things with than lots and lots of friends that I have superficial relationships. In this way, I feel like it keeps me showing up as me, and I have less worry about sharing my deep and occasionally embarrassing truths, the things that I'm struggling with, because I know that I'm not alone in living as a human within the bounds of reality. And the reason that I know that is these other people have been vulnerable in the way that they are showing up at those gatherings. Focus on intentionally diving into meaningful conversations about your experiences, challenges, wins, losses, and joys. These deep conversations, this depth creates stronger connections and a more supportive network of people who really get you and who really know you. Now, I want to take a minute to warn you about this trap, this same phase of life trap. This is something that I've sort of gotten back and forth about sharing on the show. When you're looking to cultivate these deep, meaningful relationships, beware of this trap of looking for people who are in the same phase of life or people who are just like you. One of my dearest friends is in a very different phase of life than I am. This person has no kids. And as a mom, a lot of my friendships, good, bad, or otherwise, were forged in those early days of motherhood at that mom and me breastfeeding class, at like toddler, pick up and drop off of daycare, on the sidelines of sporting events or practices while I'm picking my kids up from childcare and this thing or another. So, therefore, I've become friends with a lot of other people who are also moms. One of my dearest friends I met when she joined our group as a provider. I was tasked with orienting her to our inpatient service. And although I'm tempted to say that's the rest is history, we've been best friends ever since. It's rarely a relationship that is so linear and straightforward and clear. But our friendship is deep and meaningful. It has propped us up during difficult times throughout moves and burnout and job changes, dating, and more. But also, it has taken a lot of time and dedication to make sure we're both contributing what we can. And our energetic exchange is not always equal, but fair. And that we have an understanding of when someone else is going through a really busy or difficult season, that there might not be as much time or bandwidth for the other friend during that season. Now, the thing about this friendship is we are in very different seasons of life, but that doesn't exclude people from being great friends. So don't rule out potential deep relationships simply because you aren't exactly in the same season as the other person who might be in that relationship with you. The last thing I want to remind you about friendships and relationships is to intentionally edit your friendships. The thing about going through life is that we pretty easily fall into routines without considering these things on purpose. It's not only okay, but I'd go so far as to say that it's vital to edit your relationships and determine which ones are worth your time and energy. Not every relationship is meant to last forever, and that's okay. It's hard, but it's okay. Friends come into your life for a reason, for a season, or for a lifetime. Focus on cultivating relationships with the people who uplift and support you, where your friendship is an even energy exchange on average over time. Consider this as your reminder to do a little friendship audit. Really look at the people who you're surrounding yourself with. You have a limited amount of time and energy. Those resources are too precious to waste on or to be drained by the people in your life. So choose and cultivate those relationships in your life really carefully and intentionally. It's okay to edit people out. It's okay to realize that a relationship served you so well for a season and that it's not serving you anymore. Thank you for joining me on this friendship themed episode along my personal and professional journey in today's episode. I hope these insights inspire you to cultivate meaningful connections in your life, to seek opportunities to get rid of small talk and to go deeper and have deep and meaningful connections with those in your life. Remember, it's crucial to give yourself the time and space to build and nurture relationships, both personally and professionally. If you found today's episode helpful, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. That is so crucial in helping us reach more PAs and provide valuable content to our community. Until next time, this is Tracy Bingaman signing off. This PA is out.